So this is a reference picture that we will be creating. But again, you can add your own touches to it once you get a hang of watercolors and the techniques that we are going to learn. So let's take a blank sheet of paper. You all must have received or you all must be having a watercolor paper. Before we start, I would suggest use the rough side of the paper. If you touch it or if you see it, you can see the rough texture. That is the best to work with watercolors. Keep it on your base and keep your circular thing, whether it's a cap or a bowl, somewhere around the center of your sheet so that you can have proper space, sufficient space to create the elements. Use a pencil lightly, no need of adding too much pressure. Just sketch a circle. I'll just make sure that it's somewhere around the center. A little bit here and there is okay. And as I'm creating the circle or tracing the circle, you also can do the same. This was an easy thing, right? Just tracing a circle. To start with, I keep things easy, but I think by the end, you'll all feel that everything is easy. So you'll get a hang of it. And I think you'll all feel like doing more watercolors. That way, I'll have more sessions with you, and you'll have to ask Lynn to have more sessions. and let's start. You all can see the circle right now on my screen. Anything that is not clear, please let me know anytime and ask me any questions anytime. Now is the time to paint. So before I start, I'll just let you know we'll start from the right hand side. That's how I will be moving in. It's a clockwise direction, right? I'm right. So just go towards the right and we'll just go to the left and reach the starting point. That's what we are doing. We are working around this circle that we have just created with a pencil. And we are not making any outline, so it's like all loose elements that we'll create. For this, just take your paintbrush. You all must be having a round paintbrush or a flat paintbrush. You can start with round paintbrush. Now, a round paintbrush is a one which has a nice tip and good amount of bristles. That's why we call it a round paintbrush. The tip is used to create intricate textures and design, and the bristles, which are rounded in texture, are needed to fill in the shade or to add color to an element. I hope you all have your round paintbrush or a thin tipped paintbrush. Now, you all must be having a paint set, which might be a little different from mine, but I think you have good amount of colors in that. Then a cup of water and a paper towel. And that's it. That's what we need for now. Let's start with the right hand side of this circular element that we have created. I'm going to start from the right, and the first technique that I would suggest here is the dry on dry technique. So, what is dry on dry technique? Since some of you are new to watercolors, just dip a tip of your brush lightly in water, and the first color that I'm going to take is yellow. So, if you can see on the screen, this is the yellow I'm taking. You can take any yellow or any color of your choice. Start with a lighter color. Now, this is kind of activating your color. Now, I'll explain you, but before that, let's create a curve. Just layer a yellow curve, making a stem out of it, layering or tracing over your pencil circle or pencil curve. Do you all see yellow there? Now, there is no specific size. You can do a good amount of cover, a good amount of the circular line with yellow. Now, why is it called dry on dry technique? You applied very less water on the paintbrush, which is kind of making the brush dry and activating your color, that is the yellow color. So it's like dry brush and a dry base. So the base is dry and you are applying a little bit of water with some color on the brush and applying it on a dry base. In short, it is called dry on dry technique. You don't need to remember these terms. I'll be sharing a complete review of this session. Now you can add more water. Now you can add more water to your paintbrush. That is, you can dip the entire paintbrush, the same paintbrush in water. And the first color again I'm going to take is yellow. That is the lightest color to start with. Now I'll explain you why I'm taking yellow again. Just take a good amount of yellow on the brush. Before you apply it on the art piece, just check it on the paper towel. It shouldn't be too bright. Yellow is always a kind of a light color, but check it before you apply it. Now I'll try to zoom in. Hopefully, it should zoom in sometime. Is it getting more nearer, more closer? Okay, let's create a leaf. Thank you so much, Lynn, for the thumbs up. A leaf without an outline. So just follow the direction in which my brush is going. Use the tip and press the brush and make a curve. Now, yellow is a light color. I'm not sure if you all are able to see that. You all are able to see my yellow there? Okay, one curve. Now, don't add any color to your brush. In case you feel it's like you have less color on the brush, don't add any color. Add some water. Add some water to the brush. The way I'm just dipping the brush in water. And I'm making the next curve, the right hand side curve, to create the leaf. Now, why I asked you to add just water? Because I want to wet the base now. The next technique will also help us in creating the next element, that's the leaves. Now, once you added water, do you see that your yellow has kind of faded out or it's kind of getting a gradient touch? If it is, just keep on going and fill in the leaf. No color needed. You already added a curve of color in there and then just extend the color with the help of water. Now the base has gotten wet. Do you all see that the base, your paper has gotten wet in that particular element? Now with this, we'll learn the wet on wet technique. But before your leaf dries, I would like you to add some more color on it. And then I'll explain you what this technique is. Dip your brush again in water. And the next color I would suggest, because yellow goes well with the orange, just take a little bit of orange. I hope you all have orange in your paint set. Lynn, do you have orange in the paint set? Okay. Just take a good amount of orange. Check it on the paper towel before you apply it on your leaf. Just go along with the tip of your brush, go along the edge or one side of your leaf. As you're going on one edge, the color starts spreading inside. Is it spreading inside? Just a few of you I can see, Lynn, Diane. If you feel it's spreading too much, like it's too bright, you can just quickly clean your brush and use a dry brush. Like if I show you here by adding more color in there. I feel it's too much of color. Quickly, you can dip your brush in water, dab it with a paper towel, and just use a dry brush. No color, no water. Go over the color. That way, your color gets faded because the extra color, the extra brightness gets absorbed by the brush. So, this is just the way of making the color lighter and faded in your element. And this technique is called the dry brush technique because you're using a dry brush to lift your color, and it is also called lifting. So you can take it anyway. This was the first element that we started with. Now, the first layer is always light. Always start from light and get to the brighter side. So, the lesser the better, the lesser the water, the lesser the color is better to start with in watercolors. Now is a repetition. Now, if you want to darken this shade, you can go back to your previous colors. You can take some yellow, orange again, and add it towards the edge, and the color starts spreading inside. Keep a very light hand. No need to press your brush too much. Just keep a light pressure, and the color will spread on its own as long as the base is wet. The lighter you go with the brush, the more control you have on your painting. And I think I didn't mention that watercolors, they have a mind of their own. So let them use their own mind, let them spread, and then you can use your brush to direct the shade. So if you see, I have made like four, five to six, no, five leaves here. So you can also make any amount of leaves around this stem that you have just created, same way as we did the first leaf. So I'll do it with you all. It's a repetition. So I don't think it will take much of your time or our time, but just don't rush. Work at your own pace. I'm wetting my brush. I have wetted my brush. I have dipped the entire brush in water and I'm taking some yellow again. Before I apply it, check it on the paper towel and I'm creating one curve of the leaf. Let me see if I can zoom it in more. Oh, it worked. Okay, and then add a little water on the brush and spread this yellow to make the base wet. Now, as your base is wet, you can take some more shade, some other color that is orange, that's what I'm taking, and add it on the wet base. So this is what is called the wet on wet technique. It's a golden rule of watercolors. You wet the base and then you add water to the brush, add some color to the brush, and add it on top of your wet base. So apply it on the wet base. In short, it is called wet on wet technique. That is wet brush on wet base technique. Again, you don't need to remember the terms, it will be sent to you soon. Now you can layer with some yellow, you can layer with some orange, overlap or layer one color over the other and make a nice leaf shape. I'm taking a little bit of red here. Do you all want to try red? If yes, you all can. But when you take some red in there, as I'm taking, check it on your paper towel before you apply. We don't need too bright to start with. Go along the edge or the outline that you've created for the leaf and then just let the color spread inside because your base is wet. There is one more way in which you can spread the color. That is called dabbing. This is another technique. I hope I'm not overwhelming you all with the techniques. No need to just remember them. Just go with the flow, and whatever I'm saying, you can just apply it. I'm taking a little bit more red. Dabbing is a technique in which you use the tip of your paintbrush, add it on the paper or the wet base, and let the color spread and keep on adding one dab over the other. It's kind of stippling, it's kind of adding dots of color on a wet base, and the color starts spreading on its own. Is it happening there? Okay. So whatever I'm saying is being applied and I hope it's happening. Now I see the color has spread a lot. I want a little bit of faded touch in it. If you also want the same, just use your dry brush. No color, no water as we did before. Apply the lifting technique and go over that color with the dry brush. And that way it will get absorbed and lightened. In case you want to add some yellow back again, you can go back to your previous color and then just add a hint of yellow in there. I just unzoom it. Let's see if it does. Yeah. Everyone good till now? I think now we'll be able to make it a little bit faster. Let's add like 2 to 3 more leaves in there. Same way, any color of your choice. Since we are making fall themed, you can use more of yellow, orange, and reds. Quickly, I'm moving to the next leaf. Applying the same techniques as we did for the last two leaves. Fill it in. Now you can also go with two leaves at the same time. So like create two leaves And these are very loose leaves. You don't need to be too much specific about the shape. They can go a little bit here and there, just as in nature. Nature is not perfect, but it still looks beautiful. Now I'm adding some orange in there. See, I'm dabbing in some orange. And I feel that there's too much of brightness, so I'm just using my dry brush and absorbing the extra color. Same way I'm going on the right hand side. That is the right hand side leaf. Adding some hints of orange. Now it's your choice. You want to add some red in there, you can definitely add some red. I'm thinking of adding a little bit red. Same way as we did the previous leaves. Now I feel that it's uh, too bright of red. There is another way where you can lighten the color. What you can do is you can clean your brush, add some water, just water, and spread the brighter red to the entire leaf, just with the help of water. So that there are different ways, different techniques wherein you can create a texture, a natural texture in a leaf. Same way I'm going to go with the next leaf. Little water to spread it out. If you feel you want to go back to your previous element and it has already dried up, what you can do is you can wet it again. You can activate that element again. So if you want to go back to your previous leaf, that's what I'm doing here. I'm just wetting it. In order to apply the wet on wet technique, I'll again take some red because I want to add a little bit of red shade in that too. So I try that I show you all the techniques so that it's not only helpful in creating this particular painting, it's also helpful in creating any other painting, watercolor painting that you would choose to create, even without my help. So I am done with 4 leaves, but I want to show you the other elements too. Let's move to the next element, and here we will apply the dry on dry technique. I'm just trying to show you the color that we are going to use. I'm thinking of using some brown. So, brown is also a fall color. Uh, just like we can create some twigs or ferns with that. You can take it anyway. For that, we will first start with layering some brown color, any brown shade that you have, on top of your circular line, somewhere like up till here, I will be adding the brown. You can choose your own size, how much you want to cover with brown. The technique is dry on dry technique and the color is brown. Again, you can choose any color of your choice. So just dip the tip of your brush and take some brown on the tip of your brush. Just check it before you apply it on your painting, just check it on your paper towel. I'm just going downwards. And if you see, I'm not dragging my brush. I'm layering one stroke over the other in order to make it easier for me to cover the pencil outline. So we are just tracing over the pencil outline. Now this is a very simple step. All you need to do is apply the dry on dry technique, take some color on a very less wet brush, and this is what I'm going to do. Are we all ready to add the ferns? Okay. So we'll be adding ferns on both the sides of this stem that we have created. And that is the technique that is called dry on dry technique, as well as adding directional lines. So you are adding curves like this. Add a little pressure in the beginning of the where you actually start from the stem and let the stroke flow. Let the curve flow and keep on going. I'm going from the bottom to the top. It's a very easy, simple process. Don't add too much pressure on your brush. Rather, just go with the flow. Same way I'm going to do on the left. Again, you don't need to make a carbon copy of what I have created. Add your own touches to it. Watercolors are all about creativity and your own touches to the painting. Wasn't it easy? Or was it like. I feel the faster I go, the better I am. Because I don't have much time to think. The more I think, the more intricate I go, and I don't need to do that. So it's all loose, and keep yourself loose too, since it's a loose painting. We can add another stem. Though you don't have an outline with a pencil in here, you can add another stem towards the inside or outside of the circle. Like I'm adding one here. Add very less pressure on the brush and then add a few more ferns around it or kind of twigs around it. That will help in filling in the space. Right now I'm going light. If you want to layer on top with a darker color, you can. Or a darker shade of brown, you can. Again, the more color you take, the lesser water you take, the darker or brighter your shade is. But the other way around is more water you take and less color you take, the lighter, the more faded your element will be. Now, this was an easy process, right? So, we are again applying the dry on dry technique and we can move further. Before that, I would love to know if you all are doing good. Are you all enjoying? You have any questions? We are enjoying? Okay, great. I can see some thumbs ups. So that's great. Good to know. It's encouraging. Now let's add some more stems. Now, if you see this one, I have extended a few stems towards the left and the right of this circle or the wreath that we are creating. You can do the same, and the leaves stay the same. The way we created the last leaves, we can create the same way, but the leaves are smaller this time. So, this way, you'll be able to learn creating smaller elements with watercolors. Thank you for all the thumbs ups. Now we can move to the next part that I showed you just now, and you can use your lighter color for the stem here. So if I can show you more clearer, I'm again using the yellow, or you can also use a little bit of an orangish shade if you want to create the stem. We are right now creating the stem with the help of dry on dry technique. I'm thinking of using a little orange color. You can also use your yellow color. All you need to do is add a stem towards the inside and towards the outside of the circle or the wreath that we are creating. And then you can choose any shade to start with. Choose a lighter shade. It can be a lighter orange, it can be yellow. I'm taking some yellow in there. Now, here make smaller leaves. One curve, another curve. Initially, it's dry on dry, but now you have water on the base. So now you can take your darker color or brighter color and go on top with some dabbing, some strokes to add a darker shade to your yellow. That's orange. In case it's too bright, you can use your dry brush and go over the color to lighten it. Let's bring it more closer. And same way, continue with more leaves. I'm excited to show you a loose flower. I'm almost there. Any shade you want to add initially, just add another shade on top to give a gradient touch, applying firstly the dry on dry technique and then the wet on wet technique. I hope you all can understand now what we did in the last few leaves. We have to do the same here. Somewhere, if you just want to use one color, there is no hard and fast rule. You can just use one shade in order to make the process easier and quicker. Now, if you want to add a touch of red, you can add a touch of red because the base is still wet and it will spread easily. Now I'm working on the right hand side stem, same way as I did the left hand side stem. Adding a curve Adding another curve, filling in the leaf, making it wet, then adding more shades to it. And I feel wet on wet technique is used in almost all the elements, except when we are giving intricate details to the work. In that case, we use more of dry on dry technique. Everyone is having fun. I know we are not using any outlines, but I think it makes us more free, more friendly with watercolors. So somewhere you can keep the base as yellow. You don't need any other shade. Somewhere you can add some orange and somewhere you can add a brighter touch of red. I really love when the color spreads on its own. It just creates its own texture and it feels like magic to me. And I hope you're feeling the same, especially if you're doing it for the first time. So I am done with these leaves. I think we can start with a loose flower if you all are ready. Let's create a loose flower. Now, a loose flower, as the name says, it doesn't require any outline as well. For this, you can use a light color to start with if you are doing watercolors for the first time because it makes it more comfortable to work with. All we need to do is we are going to create dots in a circular shape. I am leaving some space on the right of the flower that I'm creating. So there'll be a space between these dots that I'm going to create and the leaves that I have initially created so that there is enough space for the petal to fit in. All you need to do is use some water, add some water to the tip of the round brush that you have been using and take some yellow shade. I'm taking some yellow on the tip of the brush. And if you want to check the shade, you can check it on the paper towel or you can directly add the dots. Now, let me see if I can make it more closer to you. It's closer now. Okay. So I'm just adding dots in a circular way. You see, there's a gap in the center, and I am adding dots, making a shape, making a circular or a circle shape out of those dots. Now, I'll not wait here. Quickly clean your brush, add some water on the brush. What we are going to do is we are spreading these dots in the form of petals. We are adding that color to the petals. Just water, no color on your paintbrush. Use or angle your brush in such a way that you can make a curve. Let those dots spread further in the shape of a petal. So you're making two curves and let the color, yellow color, spread inside that petal with the help of water. Same way you can make other petals. As many petals as fit in and as many look good on your wreath. Now here I created 5, but you can also create 3. Is it easy or is it getting tough? I asked you to use a light color because it feels to be less overwhelming working with a lighter color. All you need is water to spread those dots in the shape of petals. And that's what we are doing. We are spreading those dots outwards in order to make the petals. Now you can go back to another color. You can take some orange because yellow and orange they go well. Take some orange, check it on the paper towel, and just that we added the color on the leaves, same way you can add the color orange shade on the petals. Just go along the edge of each petal that you've created, and the color starts spreading inside the petal because the base is wet. Is the color spreading in there? If not, just add a little bit more water on the petal and the color will start spreading in. Lightly, don't add too much pressure on the brush. Lightly fill in the shade to have a gradient touch of yellow and orange. The reason I asked you to go along the edge because the base is wet, it will just help in spreading the color inside the petal. And now you can use a little water or a dry brush to fade out or to spread the color. You want to darken it more, you can add some dabs in the center of the petal. It's just a freehand flower. You don't need to worry about each petal shape. It should look like a flower. That's the only thing we need to know. And I think you all can see it started with a few dots, and those dot color, the shade in those dots, was used to create the petals by spreading those dots in the shape of petal. Now we can move to another flower. Same dotted texture, any color now that you want. I chose still yellow because it is fall themed, so I'll still stick to yellow, but it's your choice if you want to change the shade. Let me show. Yeah, this is the one. This is a yellow, and I'm making it somewhere here towards the top left of the circle, adding dots in a circular way. The dots are done, and now I'm spreading the dots in the form of petal now. Again, the faster I go, the better I am. You can try the pace, but you can choose your own pace too. The reason is I'm not thinking much. I'm just making a shape of a petal, five petal flower or three petal flower. Once done, since it's a very light shade, I'm just going to add a little hint of orange in there, going along the edges and letting the color spread inside. I love this part. Though sometimes it is scary if you're doing it for the first time, you might feel, why is this color just layering over the yellow? But if you feel that's the case, clean the brush and just use a little water to spread the color over the first layer. And as the name says, it's a loose flower. You don't need to worry too much about the shape. Here I want to give a little faded touch towards the edges of the petal. So I'm just using a dry brush to absorb the extra color towards the edges. And when I am using the dry brush or lifting technique, I'm using the side of the brush in order to use the bristles to absorb the extra color. Okay. Again, I'm back to the same position so that I can show you the entire wreath up till now. Now we can continue with the gaps that are left. We can add. Now you have learned so many elements. You have learned the flowers, you have learned the leaves, you have learned petals, and those ferns. You can add any element anywhere. But I would like to just show you what I have done in my reference picture. Let's cover in this top part of the circle or the wreath, and you can start with a few leaves. Make a stem and add the leaves around it, just the way we did previously. And dry on dry technique, I'm using some yellow and I'm covering the entire circular part on the top with yellow. And then I'm going to use yellow. I have enough yellow on the tip of the brush and I'm adding leaves. Now, these leaves can be small, these leaves can be big. It's your choice. I'm just adding yellow right now. I hope you all can see this screen. Right now, I made a set of like six leaves and one after the other. On top of it, I'm thinking just adding a little red touch in there rather than just yellow and orange. And I'm going along the edge and letting the color spread inside. Add very less pressure on the brush. Even if you add less, the color will definitely spread inside with the help of our golden rule. That's the wet on wet technique. So till now we have learned so many techniques in this small little painting. We have learned dry on dry, wet on wet. We have learned dabbing. We have learned directional lines and lifting. All these come together and make a nice painting. Once you are done with the leaves, we can add the further elements. I'm going to add some ferns now with the brown shade, just the way we did previously, just to balance out the elements everywhere. Here I'm just giving, let me just bring it near. Let's see if I can zoom it in. Okay, this is the part I'm working on. I am taking some brown on the tip of the brush and adding ferns one after the other, adding directional lines one after the other. And as I go further and further, they get lighter. So I can add a little bit more or layer a little bit more shade on top of the light shade. I'm going to take a little more. As long as I like the shade, you can keep on adding more layers of the same shade in order to get the right texture. This was a little closer look. I'm back to the entire wreath. And if you see your paintings are drying up, when your elements are drying up, you might be seeing that the color is fading out. It happens because this painting is not just one layer of color which I made. It's like 2 to 3 layers, adding more layers. The reason is when the color dries, the water gets evaporated, the color gets absorbed in the watercolor paper. For that, you need to keep on adding more layers until you're happy with the shade. So, right now, we are creating the undertone. Now, I want to show you the pumpkin. If you're not sure you want to do it on your final piece, you can use a rough sheet and work on it. See if you're confident enough, then you can add the pumpkin on the wreath. It's the same starting with wet on wet technique. I am just placing everything in such a way so that you can see the colors and the pumpkin that I'm creating. I'm creating it somewhere towards the bottom, towards the left. The size of the pumpkin depends on you, how much big or small you want it, and how much proportionate it looks to your wreath. Now use your brush, the same round brush, dip it in water. I'll start again with a light color. So it's yellow again. Check it on the paper towel. Now we are actually making the shape of a pumpkin. Let me bring it closer. I'm making it somewhere here inside the circle. Make a curve like the edge of a pumpkin on the left. You all can see the color clearly? Okay, same way, add a curve on the right. It's a circular, pumpkin is kind of circular, but you need a texture of a pumpkin in there. And at the bottom, I'm just going to create a heart shape. The two curves meeting each other here. You can see on the screen clearly. And on the top again, we'll make both the curves meet, making a heart shape, making kind of a bump in the center. I tried my best to word it in the best way, but you all can see what I'm doing here. After this, just add more water to the brush. No color right now. You already have yellow in there. And spread this outline color, that's the yellow color, throughout the pumpkin or the base that you are creating. Is it giving a hint of yellow inside? Yes. And see, it's magic. We haven't outlined it, but we will be able to create a pumpkin. Now we are using a round paintbrush and we have a nice tip in there with the brush. So we can take a little water on the tip of the brush and take some orange. Pumpkins are mostly yellow, orange, and adding a little bit of brown texture later. Take some orange on the tip of the brush, check it on your paper towel. With the tip of the brush, just go along the edge, the left hand side edge of the pumpkin, then the right hand side edge of the pumpkin. You see the color spreading in, but at the same time, it will give a little detail or depth to the pumpkin. Is it happening there on your paper? Same way, I'm using the tip here. The reason is I want to give an intricate texture in there. Along with that, I want to let the color spread. So I'm adding, you know how the pumpkin has those kind of divisions in between, wherein it shows that the curves are just coming together. That's what we are trying to create, like different sections, the curved sections. With the tip of the brush, I am just creating the outline or curve, and the color is spreading in and giving a shade to the pumpkin. So it's adding to the base shade, that is the yellow shade. You can add more if you would like. Choose your own pace. You can go slower, you can go faster, but when I go faster, I'm much better. Let the color spread, let the color mix in, blend in with your base shape. You want to modify the shape, you feel, oh, my pumpkin is not looking like a pumpkin, you can definitely modify it anytime with the help of your color. I feel it's a nice shape till now. Now, if you want, only if you want, you can give a little bit of a brown texture in it. Only if you want. Because brown will like spread like anything because your base is wet. So take some brown on the tip of your brush. Check it on the paper towel. It shouldn't be too bright or dark. Just go along the edge. See, the lesser the color, the better. I'm not even getting much shade in there, but I want a lighter shade to start with. Then, if you think it's too light, you can go further with a darker shade of the same color. So, the more color, the less water you take, the more brighter the color will be. So, here I'm taking little bit more. I think yes, now it's getting the right shade. So, it might take a few tries for you to get the right shade. In case you don't like it, you can quickly dab it with your paper towel and lighten the color or your dry brush. Are you able to get that texture of pumpkin in there? It's just the base shade that you are creating. And there is nothing wrong or right in art. As long as you have created a nice shape, it should look good. Now on the top, let's add a little brown stem in there. Since we are already working with the brown, you can take some brown on the tip of the brush, applying the dry on dry technique. All I'm doing is adding a short little stem in there. And see, I'm not dragging my brush. I'm just adding one layer over the other, and I've made a nice stem on the top. Everyone good with the pumpkin? Do you all like your pumpkins? I'm sure I love yours, and I'm excited to see your paintings. Even though they are not complete, it's okay. I know this should be like a 2 hour class. I can go like longer, but it's almost done. All the elements are shown now. It's just a repetition now. So let's move to the left hand side, and the left hand side is all about the leaves and the ferns and maybe a few buds. I have also created a few buds in there, which I can show you some uh, flowers that haven't bloomed yet. All you need to do is first just use your dry on dry technique. Take some yellow on the tip of your brush and then just create or trace a yellow outline on top of your pencil outline throughout, whichever space is left, just fill it in or just add the layer of yellow in there so that you know this is how you have to go around this curve. So this curve, it has many, like you can add your own creative touches to it. You can add your own leaves. Now I think you got a hang of it, so you don't even need to follow exactly what I'm doing. But I'll still follow what I did in the reference picture. I'll add some leaves now, somewhere near the pumpkin on the left. The leaves again, I'll start with yellow, and I can also keep them just yellow. So you don't need to add each and every leaf. In each and every leaf, you don't need to add a new shade. In some you can, in some you can keep just yellow. I'm adding in a few some orange. It's all wet on wet technique now. Initially it was dry. Now you've added color, you've added water. So it's wet on wet technique. You want to add little red. It's just a repetition because I want to show you everything in this picture. Now I'm just left with a little bit of the curve wherein I can add some ferns or maybe a few leaves. So let's first add a fern, that is with the help of brown shade, dry on dry technique. Now, as you can hear me every time saying these techniques, I think you all are able to memorize them too. But I'll definitely share with you the review of the painting, the review of the session. Here I'm extending the stem towards the inside, and as you can see, I am layering one stroke over the other, adding the directional lines. Try to keep your pace a little faster and see if it works. The faster it goes, the more fine it is, the more loose it is. And I'll definitely ask you at the end how was your experience creating these fonts. Then maybe one more um, towards the left of the curve. And then add the directional lines. Then there is one more technique which is called stippling. So, stippling is a technique in which you add dots and create a nice texture. And it is also called pointillism. Some artists just do pointillism and create a complete art piece, but that requires a lot of patience. So, along these ferns, you can make some small dots to show the texture of buds and small flowers. All you need to do is dry on dry technique. That is, clean your brush first, dip the tip of the brush, and take any shade, bright shade, light shade. I'm taking some red in there on the tip of the brush. All I need to do is I'm going to add dots around these ferns. Any amount, anywhere around them, just to show a little brighter touch, as well as give a touch of flowers, small little buds or flowers around the ferns. And that will also enhance the fall look because red, yellow, orange are all part of the color theme. That's the easiest part, right? Just a few dots, go with the flow, add as many around all the fonts that you have created. Add any color, somewhere you can even take orange, somewhere you can even take yellow. And again, as I always say, faster I go, better I am, because it doesn't give me time to think how big the dot is, where the dot is going. It should just go around the element. And I feel it will give life to the wreath, to your art piece. We are just left with a few elements now. You can make your elements darker the same way as you did the base shade. So this picture took me like 2 hours, or yeah, a kind of 2 hours, because I added one more layer to it. But it's the same way as the first layer. Should I show you the next few elements that are left? Are we all ready? Okay. Uh, I'll just show you. This is kind of a less bloomed flower. So it's oval shape or a circular shape, again with it without an outline. That's what I wanted to show you. That's the only element that is left that is new to show. But it's the same way as we created the petals. It's like creating just one or two petals. All you need to do is dip your brush in water. I'm thinking of starting with yellow again because we are starting a new element. Start with a lighter color. I am thinking of adding it's somewhere towards the left because I have a good amount of space. It's just creating a curve on the left. Now just spread it further and create a nice small little flower shape, and you can call it as one petal that you created in these flowers. You can spread it further and you can add another color on top. I have added red in a few. All you need to do is take some red on the tip of the brush and go over the outline, add a few strokes, and see the color is spreading on its own. Once it starts spreading, you can just use a little water and spread the red on the base in order to blend in both the colors. Go slowly, don't feel overwhelmed. So, this is another layer. I want to make it more darker. I can add a little bit more red along the edge. Always try to add the color towards the edge or the outline, and the color will spread inside, giving a nice shading. Now, we can add a stem to this flower. For that, just apply the dry on dry technique. Here you can use your green. We haven't used green at all. We might add a few leaves too. So dip the tip of the brush, take some green. I'm taking any green that you have. You can even take a lighter green or the darker green. Take it on the tip of the brush. It's all dry on dry technique. Add a stem connecting the wreath to the flower. And you might see some green spreading in your flower because your base is wet. Let it spread, but up till a particular point. If it's spreading too much, just use your dry brush and absorb the extra color. Was it easy? I think it must be easier than the flower. Let's create a few green leaves, add a few details, and then we'll be done with the wreath. I just want to add a little green touch, though it is fall themed. There is some green in fall themed paintings too. Is the same way as we did the yellow and the orange leaves, same way we'll do the green one, but with a green shade. Just dip your brush in water. Take any green that you want, any shade of green. I'm taking this green. It's a little lighter medium shade. Somewhere near the pumpkin, if you will see the reference picture, I've added a few leaves. It's the same way as you created the last yellow orange leaves. Use the tip of the brush and create an edge or a curve. Then use the tip again and use the other edge of the curve. And then just use water and spread the green inside. It's all wet now. And now you can add colors of your choice. You can add a darker green, you can add the same green again, and that way it will give a gradient touch to the leaf. Keep it light handed. And sometimes it's the way you hold your brush that makes it a little light pressure. Keep Don't hold it too tight. Don't hold the brush too tight. And that way you might be able to get a lighter pressure. Same way I'm going to make another leaf under it. And then use some water to spread the color in, to make it wet and then to add another shade in it. Or the same shade again on top as another layer. I think it must be much easier for now, right now, for you to create the leaves because we already have created the leaves in different color. We can add these leaves anywhere in order to have a balance of green leaves throughout the wreath. You can use the tip of your brush, use some green shade, and add it maybe somewhere near your light yellow flowers. I hope I'm not going fast. I'm just telling you a repetition of things. So even if you are not working on that element, it's okay. Just watch what I'm doing and go along with what you are doing. I'm just adding the leaf with the help of green, filling in the area with just water, less color, and now I can apply the wet on wet technique and let the color spread in. Again, you don't need to follow each and every element that I'm creating. You can create less or more. As long as we create a beautiful wreath, adding in all these elements, it should look good. Somewhere you can also add. Now is the time to fill in the space. Like if you still have some space on the wreath left, you can create a fern, or you can create a leaf, or you can create some dotted texture or petals or another flower. I'm going to create one fern in here at the bottom, just for your idea. Then just keep on going. And then on top, if you want, you can add some stipples to add some flowers in there. Small dotted texture in which we are not actually creating the flower, but it actually looks like the texture of flower. There's one more thing. I think Lynn mentioned that about the space in the flowers, the center part. You can add stipples of brown or dots of brown or black with the tip of your brush. I'm thinking of adding some black. So apply dry on dry technique. Less water, more color on the tip of the brush. That's what I have in here. Check it on the paper towel because you're working with a dark color. And then add dots in the center of your flowers, as many flowers as you've created. One after the other. That gives a natural texture to your flower. I'm keeping the flowers light for now, but if you want to add more texture to it, you can add more color, applying the same techniques as we have learned. Right now, I'm adding stipples to the other. As you're adding the stipples, do you feel that your flowers are coming to life? It's giving a little depth to your flowers? Great. It's the entire wreath, the entire circular element is covered with flowers, leaves, and pumpkins. I feel that my pumpkin is not that much connected to the wreath yet. So all I can do is add one more leaf. That is just a suggestion if you are feeling the same. So take any green color. I'm taking this olive green. Whichever green you have, you can use green and add a simple leaf just the way you added previously to the other areas and just fill it in. And just adding it in between the elements that gives a nice pattern to the wreath too. And then I'm adding little more. Again, it's a repetition of techniques and repetition of elements. So don't feel overwhelmed like what I'm doing. Just go at your own pace. Complete your painting whenever you feel like. And anywhere you want to add any element, any questions you have, I can show that element again, show that technique again, in case you want to learn more about that technique. I'm just adding one more leaf while waiting for any question. But I think you all got a hang of it. You have no questions? I'm just connecting the leaves with a little stem here. I know you all are working on your own elements. But there is one technique which I have shown to our previous participants, and Lynn knows about it. It's a fun technique. It's called spattering, kind of adding dots, giving a magical texture. That's how I call it. Um, I know you all are working on your elements, but is it okay that I show that? Even if you don't want to do it, it's okay. It's a very simple technique. And even if you would have said no, I would have still shown it because it's an enjoyable one. Uh, I usually use this technique, and wherein I just try to give life, more life to the painting at the end. For that, you can use the same paintbrush, the round paintbrush that you've been using. Take a good amount of water. Now, the colors I use for spattering are mostly the colors that are used in the entire painting. Like, I want to use some orange in there because orange was there in some of the elements. Completely dip your brush in water and add some water on the color itself from the brush. Add a good amount of water. Now, if you're not sure that you want to do it or not on your final painting, you can take a rough sheet of paper and apply this technique there. If you like it, then apply it on your painting. Check it on the paper towel. And all I'm going to do here is I'll keep the brush straight, little bit far from my painting. And the next thing I'm going to do here is take another brush and tap the brush which has the color on its neck, and keep on moving the brush around my elements. You might see a few dots. If you want to add more, you can even use your red color. Check it on the paper towel and then tap around the neck. You don't need too much of spatters. You just need a random spatters around. Just tap it, add some color, add some water, and tap around. And that way, you'll get a nice touch of small little stipples around your wreath. That just gives life to your work. If you like it, you can use it. If not, you can leave it. This was all about this painting for creating the base shade and creating the applying the techniques. You can darken any element anywhere with the same techniques. I think I didn't make a leaf around the pumpkin which seems to be a little odd. So I'm just making a leaf around it on the right, or if you want you can even add it on the left. So it was just a loose leaf that I created. Now we can, I'm here on the gallery view. I can see you all. I can see your paintings. I'm really excited to see them all.